Jack's lost toy. Jack's favorite toy. Jack had a favorite toy. It was a small red car that he took with him everywhere. He had gotten the car for his birthday. And ever since, it had become his most prized possession. He played with it every day, at home, in the yard. And even when he visited his friend Michael's house. "I love my red car," Jack often said. "It's the fastest car in the world." One Saturday morning, Jack was playing with his toy car in the living room. He made it race across the floor and imagined it zooming around a racetrack. But when his mom called him for lunch, Jack quickly put the car down somewhere and ran to the kitchen. The toy goes missing. After lunch, Jack was ready to play with his toy car again. He went back to the living room but couldn't find it. "Where's my car?" Jack asked himself, looking around the room. He searched under the couch, behind the chairs, and even in his toy box. But the car wasn't there. Feeling a little worried, Jack called out to his mom. "Mom, I can't find my red car. Have you seen it?" Emily, Jack's mom, shook her head. "No, I haven't seen it. Did you check all the places you usually leave it?" Jack nodded. "Yes, but it's not here." "Don't worry," Emily said gently. "We'll help you look for it. Maybe it's somewhere else in the house." Searching the house. Jack's sister, Lily, overheard the conversation and offered to help. "I'll help you find it, Jack," she said. "Maybe it's in your room." Jack and Lily went upstairs to Jack's room and started searching. They looked under his bed, in his drawers, and even inside his closet. But the toy car wasn't there. "Are you sure you didn't leave it in the yard?" Lily asked. Jack thought for a moment. "I don't remember. But let's go check." The two of them ran outside to the backyard. They searched near the swing set, the sandbox, and the garden, but the car was nowhere to be found. Asking for help. After searching the house and yard with no luck, Jack started to feel sad. "What if I never find my car?" he said, his voice small. Lily put her hand on Jack's shoulder. "Don't give up, Jack. Let's ask Dad if he's seen it. He might know where it is." They went to find their dad, John, who was working in the garage. "Dad, have you seen my red car? I can't find it anywhere," Jack asked. John looked up from his work and thought for a moment. "I haven't seen it today. But did you check the garage? Sometimes you play in here." Jack's eyes widened. "I didn't check the garage. Let's look." The garage search. Jack, Lily, and John began searching the garage together. They looked under the workbench, behind the shelves, and even in the toolbox. But after a few minutes, there was still no sign of the red car. "I don't think it's in here," Jack said sadly. Just then, Jack's friend Michael came over. He had come to play soccer but noticed that Jack didn't seem happy. "What's wrong, Jack?" Michael asked. "I lost my favorite red car, and I can't find it anywhere," Jack replied. Michael smiled. "I can help you look. Maybe we missed something." Finding the lost toy. With Michael's help, they searched the yard one more time. As they walked near the front porch, Michael noticed something shiny in the bushes. "Hey, Jack, look over here," Michael called out, pointing to the bushes. Jack ran over and gasped. "It's my red car." There, hidden under the leaves, was Jack's toy car. He must have accidentally left it there when he was playing outside earlier in the day. Jack picked up the car and hugged it tightly. "I'm so happy I found it. Thank you, Michael." Michael smiled. "I'm glad we found it together." A lesson learned. That evening, Jack was playing with his red car again, feeling relieved and happy. He sat down with his family and thanked everyone for helping him. "I'll be more careful with my toys from now on," Jack said. "I don't want to lose my car again." Emily smiled. "It's okay to lose things sometimes, but it's important to keep track of where you put them." John nodded. "And it's always good to ask for help when you need it." "We found your car because we worked together." Jack looked at his red car and felt grateful for his family and friends. "Thanks for helping me. I'm so glad to have you all." Carlos's new recipe. Carlos's cooking passion. Carlos Gomez loved cooking. Ever since he was a child, he had enjoyed spending time in the kitchen with his grandmother, learning how to prepare traditional dishes from his home country. Now, as an adult, cooking was his favorite hobby. One evening, as Carlos was flipping through a cookbook, he found a recipe he had never tried before: chicken enchiladas. The recipe looked delicious, and Carlos immediately knew that he wanted to make it for his friends and family. "I've never made enchiladas before, but I think I can do it," Carlos said to himself. "I'll make it this weekend and invite everyone over for dinner." With excitement, Carlos wrote down all the ingredients he needed and started planning for his big cooking adventure. Shopping for ingredients. The next day, Carlos went to the grocery store to buy everything he needed for the enchiladas. He carefully checked his list: chicken, tortillas, cheese, onions, garlic, chili peppers, and all the spices to make the enchilada sauce. "I need to make sure I get everything," Carlos thought as he walked through the aisles, picking up fresh vegetables and spices. At the store, he ran into his neighbor, Emily Smith, who was also doing her grocery shopping. "Hi, Carlos. What are you cooking today?" Emily asked with a smile. "I'm going to try a new recipe: chicken enchiladas," Carlos replied. "I'm planning to make it this weekend and invite everyone over for dinner. Would you like to join us?" Emily's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. I'd love to come. My family loves your cooking." Carlos smiled. "Great. I'll see you on Saturday. I hope the recipe turns out well." Preparing the kitchen. On Saturday morning, Carlos woke up early to start preparing for the dinner. His kitchen was ready: pots, pans, and cutting boards were all laid out, and the ingredients were fresh and waiting. "Today is the day," Carlos said to himself as he washed the vegetables and got ready to cook. First, he prepared the chicken by seasoning it with garlic, onions, and spices. The smell of the sizzling chicken filled the kitchen, making Carlos's mouth water. Once the chicken was cooked, he shredded it and set it aside. Next, he moved on to the enchilada sauce. He roasted the chili peppers and garlic, then blended them together with tomatoes and spices to create a rich, flavorful sauce. "This smells amazing already," Carlos thought, as he stirred the sauce in the pot. Making the enchiladas. With the chicken and sauce ready, Carlos started assembling the enchiladas. He placed the tortillas on the counter and filled each one with shredded chicken and cheese. Then, he carefully rolled them up and placed them in a large baking dish. Once all the enchiladas were rolled, Carlos poured the homemade sauce over them and added more cheese on top. The dish looked delicious even before it went into the oven. "This is going to be a hit," Carlos said, as he put the enchiladas into the oven to bake. While the enchiladas were baking, Carlos set the table and made a fresh salad to go with the meal. He wanted everything to be perfect for his guests. The dinner party. By the time evening came, Carlos's house was filled with the smell of baking enchiladas. His guests began to arrive, including Emily, John, Lily, and Jack from next door. "Your house smells incredible," Emily said as she walked in. "I can't wait to try your enchiladas." Carlos smiled, feeling proud of his hard work. "Thank you. I hope everyone likes them." Once all the guests were seated, Carlos brought the hot enchiladas out of the oven and served them with a side of salad and rice. "Dig in," Carlos said, watching as his friends and family took their first bites. The room was filled with the sounds of happy eating. The enchiladas were perfectly seasoned, with just the right amount of spice and a delicious combination of flavors. "This is amazing," Jack said, his mouth full of food. "I've never tasted anything like this." Lily nodded in agreement. "I love the sauce. It's so flavorful." Carlos was relieved and happy to see that everyone was enjoying the meal. His new recipe was a success. Sharing the recipe. After dinner, Emily asked Carlos if she could have the recipe for the enchiladas. "I'd love to make this at home for my family," she said. "It's so good." Carlos was happy to share his recipe. "Of course. It's not too difficult once you get the hang of it. I'll write it down for you." He explained the steps and gave her tips on how to make the perfect enchilada sauce. Emily thanked him, excited to try the recipe in her own kitchen. "You're a great cook, Carlos," John said. "We're lucky to have a neighbor who makes such delicious food." Carlos smiled. "Cooking is my passion. I'm just happy to share it with friends." Carlos's reflection. That night, after the guests had left, Carlos cleaned up the kitchen and thought about the day. He felt proud of himself for trying something new and for making a meal that brought so much joy to his friends and family. "I'm glad I took the challenge," Carlos thought. Cooking is always an adventure, and it's even better when you can share it with others. As he put the last dish away, Carlos began to think about his next cooking project. Maybe he would try making dessert next time, something sweet to go with his savory enchiladas. "I can't wait to experiment with new recipes," Carlos said to himself with a smile.